Welcome home. It's October 4th, and the episode title is Werewolves or Board Games. Dark Wizard Games won the RPG Publisher Spotlight. I'm still to get in contact with them, but will, and I will let them know. You know the score. After that, I will politely nag until we get an interview lined up. And this week, we've been fortunate with interviews, so stay tuned for a few more of those coming up. Firstly, who are the candidates for November's Spotlight? Well, they are Gaming Geek Shop, Zero Level Media, Ravenwheel Games, Eric Bleenley, and Zombie Knox. If you are one of our amazing patrons, then you can vote for one of those, and you can find the voting function through the link in the show notes. I got a shock visiting Geek Native this week. Honestly, Bronwyn had found an Elven Tower one-shot called Ward of the Eye Tyrant to write up. It's a $4 adventure suitable for D&D or Shadow Dark, and the front cover shows this Clive Barker-esque monstrous face in an armoured mask. And with this Hellraiser-like horror, it was enough to give me a stir. If you peer closely through the mask and at that visage, you'll see just one eye glaring back at you. So I think this cult of the eye might just be the villains you need for Halloween. This week, I had the opportunity to speak to Adam Thompson of Battlefield Press about Tales from Whitechapel. You can find this fiction project on Kickstarter. On offer is a series of short stories, but as Adam told me, Battlefield Press has more sourcebooks and adventures for Gaslight Victorian fantasy coming up, and this anthology helps expand the world and provide context ahead of that. Egg Embry, one of the most renowned TTRPG interviewers out there, also kindly talked to Brian Collin of Creature Curation. Creature Curation is taking control back of Vast Grim, a dark sci-fi in which worms are eating everything. And based on the social media responses I've seen to the news, I suspect there's quite a fandom for Vast Grim. There's more, as I also got to talk to Daniel Smith of Mammoth Factory. They're running a Kickstarter for Dark Descent, a 5e mega campaign. It's a 400 plus page book with dozens of monsters, spells, new subclasses, but it was really Daniel's insight that caught my attention. In the interview, he tells me that much of the monster and architectural designs draw inspiration from real-world influences of the ancient Near East, and a Sumerian poem in particular is one of the leading influences. There's more. Longtime friend and one of our earliest writers, Paul Wilson of Wally Paints, also wrote up Frostcave for us, accompanied by a whole patch of detailed photography. One of the attractions of Frostgrave is that you can assemble a collection of spare minis for your mercenaries, and that's perfect for painters like Paul, who therefore have the game as a way to scratch their tactical itches whilst making sure that old painting projects get some limelight. That deadly, deadly limelight. And let's stay in the liminal space between TTRPGs and board games for a bit longer. I was pleased to see that Paisley's Pathfinder Quest was going great guns at BackerKit, and then delighted to see that as part of this, the publisher will donate up to 10,000 meals through the United Nations World Food Programme. Pathfinder Quest is a GM-free cooperative board game adventure. Now, the Spanish powerhouse Devir has the board game maker known for games like The White Castle is going in the opposite direction and entering the tabletop role-playing games market. They're also using BackerKit. Devir will attempt to crowdfund 2 games simultaneously, both of which are already established in Spain, but neither have been translated into English before. The two are Dracula vs. Hitler and Chaos and Chrome. In the Dracula game, characters are classic monsters pretending to be 1940s film stars as they hunt down Nazis. Chaos and Chrome cast players as Mad Max-style gang members. Witness me! Fully into board game news, Monolith has something unusual coming. There's a Berserk board game, which will route via GameFound, and if successful, will be published with the recommended age rating of 18+. Berserk is a brutal manga and several brutal anime, so in a way that 18 plus rating is expected, but it's odd that a board game is considered to be sufficiently adult to have the warning. In addition to landing some great interviews this week, I also discovered some excellent animations. The first is The Wolves Are All Gone by Leslie Pulsifier, which lasts less than 5 minutes and was originally a set of Instagram reels but comes together as a dark fairy tale, and dare I say it, a modern warning. I wish I had more wolves in my life. The second video has been out for barely a week, but it has had millions of views, and it's The Knights of Guinevere by Dana Terrace, John Bailey Owen and Zach Marcus. If you are fans of the Owl House, you might know those names. For me, it's my first exposure to the team, and Knights of Guinevere is a pilot, and I really hope it gets made. It's been a mixed week for D&D computer game news. Unfortunately, Swedish developer Starbreeze hasn't had the success it needed with its last computer game releases and has had to let some staff go, and it's also canned Project Baxter. Project Baxter was the code name for its D&D heist. I've seen some people who are not fans of Wizards of the Coast celebrate the failure of Project Baxter on social, but I think it's worth pointing out that Wizards of the Coast are not the people making the game. In fact, the new Starbreeze boss thanked them for being helpful. In better news for D&D fans, there is an official computer game coming, even if it's the only one coming this year. The game will be called Battlemarked, and it can be played in virtual reality via the Meta Quest if you want. Behind the scenes are Resolution Games, who are making the game in collaboration with Wizards of the Coast. There's one bundle to highlight this week, and that's a host of 5e treasures from various publishers up at the bundle of holding. One last thing. I wrote a little game for Geek Native called Which is More Deadly, Werewolves or, which is free to play. Imagine an alternative Earth, a lot like ours, except werewolves are real and kill exactly 666 people every year, and then they fall to their curse and sleep. Based on our own real life stats, are werewolves more deadly than elephants? What about lions? And are they more deadly than real life assassin bugs? If you think you know, then you can give the game a shot. You get 10 seconds for each question, 5 random questions, and then a way to challenge your friends to beat your score. Thanks for listening. Take care and beware those assassin bugs.